And this is what people who are wealthy and who are rich do that's different than people who are not rich and who are not wealthy. Because the people who are not rich and who are not wealthy, like I was doing before, I was working a job and my money was connected to my time. But if I use other people's money, that can save me so much time because now I have the money to build what I'm trying to build.
Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea Gordon. I'm your host on Realizations. This is the podcast where we talk about everything to do with real estate. I founded the podcast because I got upset about the DOJ NAR lawsuits and the commission lawsuits. And it made me angry. I felt disrespected, like realtors were treated like second-class citizens or used car salesmen out in the world because people don't know what we do. So rather than be angry for years, I decided that what I would do is to educate people about what it is we do and all the varied walks of life that we come in contact with, all the different vendors, all the different everything that realtors are engaged in order to get that house sold. So today I'm very happy to have my guest, Daniel McDavid, on with me. He is a credit repair specialist based out of Los Angeles, California, but he can help you anywhere you are in the United States. Daniel, wonderful to have you here today. Thank you for joining me.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Of course. So I want you to tell your own personal story. Where did you grow up? I'm curious.
So I grew up in, so I was born in Fresno, but I grew up in the Inland Empire, which is in between San Diego and Los Angeles. So I was in the Inland Empire for most of my life. I moved around a lot with my mom. And then I also grew up in New Jersey and then San Diego. That's when I was with my
So you've
father.
been around, yeah.
Yes, yes.
And in your travels, what did you end up studying at school? How did you end up in the place that you're at where you've decided to do this business? Tell me all about you.
When was with my mom, she had taken me to New Jersey, and I had now at that time had a stepdad, and my stepdad was a doctor, and they were at that time actually preparing me to become. They wanted me to become a lawyer at that time, but I, I was still young, so at that time, so I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I wanted to find what my purpose would be on my own. I knew I did like law stuff, but I didn't know in what capacity I would want to do that. So I would say at 15 years old, something very interesting had happened. I always missed my biological father. I couldn't see my dad in the way that my mom and my biological dad kind of disconnected. So I thought, man, you know what? If I really want to know more about me, I probably need to learn more about who my biological father is.
Wow.
So as I reached out to my biological father, and the way that looked is I gave him a call one night, and like I said, normally I didn't give him a call. I didn't even have his number actually. My brother, same mom, different dads. My
Mhm.
brother, he's older than me. He knew my father's number, his information, and we gave my father a call one night. And when we gave him a call, my father, he's a preacher by the way, he started telling me and my brother that my purpose would be found through the Lord. He was letting me know that he couldn't necessarily tell me what my purpose is, but he knows the one who can. So he
Mhm.
connected me through that prayer that night where I received Jesus. And interestingly, I thought I was a Christian up until that time. But being in New Jersey, I had experienced a lot of trials and tribulations and different things that I had gotten into. And when I said that prayer with my father, it was Romans 10, verse 9 and 10, which says that if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that God raised Jesus from the dead, you shall be saved. Like I said, I had said that prayer many times before. When I said that prayer that night with my father, I didn't feel anything different until the next day. The next day, I felt like there was a change. Felt
Oh,
like
interesting.
I was alive, and I felt like I didn't have to be stuck. It felt like the Lord was speaking to me. And interestingly, I had tried to hear from the Lord many times prior to hopping on the call with my father, but and the way that looked was me trying different religions. But it seemed
Mhm.
like when I tried these different religions, not only would I not get a response back, but on the contrary, it seemed like it affected me normally, affected me abnormally, such as me having insomnia and sleep paralysis. I was doing a lot of different things. dabbling in a lot of different religions. I probably shouldn't have been, but I didn't know. I was just trying to find which one was actually
I think
legit.
it's always great to seek whatever you can seek. So it's good to learn
Yes.
things. It's good to learn about other religions. It's
Yeah.
good to understand what other people are feeling and thinking and doing through those religions. So I think you did nothing wrong there. It wasn't wrong.
Definitely, definitely. But I would say the effects of me doing it impacted me negatively. But when
Hmm.
I said that prayer with my father for the first time, and like I said, I was there in New Jersey for 5 years, I had the most peaceful sleep that I've never had before in my life. I guess I should say, not since I was a little kid. But in a nutshell, shortly after that, the Lord kind of opened up the door and made it where I was actually going to go back. I was going to go see my father. And as I went to go see my father again in San Diego, my brother was the one that drove me there. But when I got back to him, he started telling me more about the word. I started getting into the Bible and started learning more about who Jesus was. And just like he told me when I was on the phone, as I got in the word of God, I started to get a better understanding of my purpose, but it still wasn't clear that I would be in credit repair. I didn't know God had that for my life because prior to doing that, the jobs that I worked after getting connected with my father was helping people who were homeless. I used to be a case manager and I would help people get connected to Section 8, specifically people who had just gotten out of jail. I would help them get into different resources. And of course, it all depended on how motivated somebody was to get out of their negative predicament. But anyways, I was doing that for a long time. I was for I'd say about 4 to 5 years. I was in the mental health field, working different jobs, different positions, and I felt like it just wasn't necessarily as fulfilling as I thought it would be initially. And that was because the people that I was working with, they did not seem to be motivated. They did not have
I had the same experience.
really.
A friend of mine passed away from AIDS, and so
Oh wow.
as my memorial to him, I thought, what could I do to really memorialize my friend? And so I volunteered for a year at the San Francisco AIDS Foundation. And I thought I was going to be helping all these very sensitive, wonderful young people, what have you. And what ended up happening was in the social services division where they decided I was most needed, I was dealing with a lot of really badly drug addicted homeless people. And most of them were surly and challenging and didn't really want to change. And it wasn't what I had fantasized it would be like. It was actually awful. And I saw the dregs of humanity. I saw people that were vicious and violent. I saw some people that were nice people that had just gotten into a horrible situation. But for the most part, it was very challenging. So I understand exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, he just explained my experience entirely. That's exactly how it was.
Yeah,
I mean, there
yeah.
was some good parts, people that I was able to help get housed and different little sparks of amazingness, but those sparks did not last enough to make me not feel burnt out from the vast majority of the people that I was working with. And then I just realized, man, this just does not feel right. This doesn't feel like what I'm really supposed to be doing and how I am supposed to be helping people. And as I started thinking about that, this brings me to how I really got started in business on the business track because, like I said, I was really just a worker. And it started when I was at this job. I was working with individuals who had autism. I had worked with children before, but at this particular time, I was working with two adults, and they needed supervision from something called psychiatric technicians. I was not a psychiatric technician. I was something called an RBT, which is a registered behavior technician, or technically I should say I was registered behavior technician in training. I didn't get certified yet. But anyways, I was there. And as I was there, I had seen that the job was very dangerous because before I got to that job, there was somebody who had actually had a really crazy accident. One of the clients, he's really strong, and he pushed the person who was helping him, and the person wasn't really paying attention. And the person fell and busted their head on the curb and they were bleeding out. And the people told me this when I first got there. I was thinking like, why in the world would you tell me that? But as I started working there, I
Mhm.
realized that what their goal was to get rid of people who were not ready because what they were trying to
Right.
explain is that you're going to be in dangerous situations, and if this is not for you, don't act like it is. And
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
that was their goal. So they told me all types of
Yeah.
crazy stories. Like the client biting somebody's nose off. They'll say like, don't get too close, stay away, keep your eyes on him, do not keep your eyes off of him. So they would tell me this stuff, and I was thinking like, man, it's awesome that I don't have to be indoors and at a computer, because we got to take the client for walks and we got to go outside and do things. There would just be every now and again where he would kind of trip out and start doing dangerous stuff like trying to hurt people or trying to hurt himself, and then we'd have to restrain him and do different stuff. But I was thinking like, man, although I don't have to worry about being in an office, what I'm worrying about is the potential for me to get hurt. What if one day I'm not paying attention and then he throws me to the ground or does something, and then that story that I'd heard about that other guy is my story. So I was thinking like, man, that's not going to work long term. So as I was thinking that, interestingly, I was at this church, because in the midst of me doing that throughout all the different jobs that I had, I was going to different churches, and I had the opportunity to share different things about my life that God had done in my life. And this one particular church I was going to is called The Rock in Anaheim. I had met this woman who I had believed was potentially my wife. As that started coming into my life now, I started recognizing that I was going to have to be more serious and do things different than how I've been doing it before. So one night, as I was at that job, I was on the phone with this woman, and I was sharing with her how I felt like I should be so much further in life, because I felt like I had done so many different things. I've been a drug counselor. I've been helping people with autism. I've helped children. I've helped adults. I've helped people who are on drugs. I've helped in so many different areas. And I just felt, man, I should be so much further with all this experience and stuff that I have. But it seems like I'm still not making enough to potentially try to have a family. So as I was recognizing this, because she had came into my life, prior to that, I knew I wasn't doing that good, but I was like, it's just me, so it's working for me. But now that she had came into my life, I was like, wow, I have to try to potentially provide for her, and then if I want to even think about having kids, now I got to provide for them. So it
They're
was just,
very expensive.
yes, so it was just pressure on top of pressure, and I was thinking like, man, something has got to change, and that something is it has to be me. So I was on the phone with her and I prayed with her. I said, hey, listen, we got to ask the Lord to do something, because I had been at church and I was praying for people and people would get healed and all this amazing stuff. But I kept thinking, like, why am I not seeing finances show up? If we're praying for stuff and God is blessing us, why are we not getting blessed in these ways? Right. So I figured something was missing. So we prayed that night and I said, God, you know what? If I'm missing something, if there's something that I'm doing wrong, please tell me, show me, make it really clear, because I seem to be missing it. It's not working, whatever I'm doing. And after I got done praying to the Lord with her on the phone, what happened was I was scrolling on Instagram about an hour later, and I seen an old friend that I met at a business seminar. I used to be a part of something called Legal Shield. They help people with prepaid legal services.
I know
Anyway,
about that, yeah.
oh, you do? Okay, yeah. So I used to be a part of them, and they're great when it comes to mindset and stuff like that. But at that time, I just felt like it wasn't for me. But, anyways, this guy who used to be a part of them, he had started his own business, and his business was helping people get into Airbnb. And he said that if the person who was watching, looking at the post, would reach out to him, he could help them get started in Airbnb. He could help them get started in their own business. And I was thinking, like, man, I remember a couple years ago where he was at. He was just at that conference and he didn't have a business. I don't remember that. But I was like, wow, it looks like he's really grown, and whatever he's doing, it must be working if he's talking about this. So I reached out. I was like, okay, this is the answer to what I just prayed. God, I just said all this stuff and I said, let me do something different. And this was something different than what I would normally do. Normally, I would just see stuff like that and think, I'm glad it worked out for him, but that's probably not going to work out for me. But I was like, whether it works or not, I have to try something, and it has to be something different than what I normally do. So I reached out to him and he was telling me how it all worked, how I could get into Airbnb, and telling me the numbers and stuff like that. And he said, listen, man, if you do want to get started, there's going to be an investment. And I was thinking like, oh, okay, not a problem. This guy was my friend. And then he told me that the investment was going to be $10,000. I was like,
Whoa.
exactly. I was like, come on, man. I work a job. Where do you think I'm gonna get this money from? And then that's when he started explaining to me how credit works. He was explaining that based off of credit, I could use something called OPM, other people's money, and then I could pay it to get into the course that he had. So he made me an offer. He said, listen, You could pay $1,500 now. I know that's probably something more that you can afford. And then I can send you over my course in Airbnb. And then after you get into that, I'm going to connect you with my partner. He's going to make sure that your credit gets squared away. He's going to help you get that where it needs to be so that you can get business funding. And that was the first time that I heard that getting your credit good can help you get business funding. And I was thinking like, okay, so is this going to be a loan? I was like, I didn't have a good impression of loans at that time. I've always known them to be bad from the movies that I've seen where someone
Right.
has a loan and then someone's trying to come after them and it doesn't end up well. So I was thinking, I'm like, I don't know if I want to get a loan. But the way he explained it, he said, no, when your credit is good, you can get 0% interest for 12 months. You could get 50K and above at 0% interest for 12 months. And I was thinking like, 50K, that's very interesting for 0% for 12 months. I was thinking like, wow, that means I have a whole year to try to make something happen, to do something with that money. So I was like, oh, okay, you know what? I will try it. That sounds like something that is potentially feasible if I have a plan and if I operate the
Mhm.
right way. So he connected me with his friend. They got my credit where it needed to be. And then shortly after that, just 7 days later, after my credit was where it needed to be, I was able to get business funding after applying. A credit card came to my house, and it was, like I said, a credit card from Chase for $50,000 at 0% interest for 12 months. And when it arrived at my house, I was thinking like, wow, this is real. This actually worked. So I was excited. And then I started thinking like, okay, now that the money is here, what am I supposed to do? The first problem was trying to get the money. But now the next problem is now that I have the money, what do I do with it to make more money so that I don't have to work a job? So that's when I started thinking about his course, the Airbnb stuff. And then he also informed me that he was going to help me obtain my first rental property, which he did do. He helped me obtain my first rental property in Texas. And after I got that, it started bringing in a little bit of money, little by little. But and then I thought, man, if this works so well using my credit, why don't I just do it again? Because I was thinking, like, man, if I'm already taking a risk, I might as well take a bigger risk. If I'm trying to get free, I'm already in. I'm in too deep. I might as well just go deeper at this point. So yeah, I decided to create another LLC, and then I got started in a car rental business using another 50K at 0% interest for 12 months. And then I had income coming in from the Airbnb and income coming in from my car rental business. And then I recognized something at that point. I realized, wow, this actually works. And this is what people who are wealthy and who are rich do that's different than people who are not rich and who are not wealthy. Because the people who are not rich and who are not wealthy, like I was doing before, I was working a job and my money was connected to my time. But if I use other people's money, that can save me so much time because now I have the money to build what I'm trying to build. So I thought, you know what? How did I even get started in this? And then I remembered it was credit. So I thought, you know what? Let me make a business where I can help people get their credit repaired so that they can get business funding to reach their goals and their dreams as well. And then that's when the idea came to me, as it says in Mark chapter 7, that whoever has the faith the size of a mustard seed can move a mountain. And I was thinking, like, obviously, the mountain is not a real mountain. The mountain
It's
is
a
whatever.
metaphor.
Yes, it's whatever seems impossible in your life. And for me, like I shared earlier, it felt impossible that I would be able to get free from these jobs where I was not even really happy and kind of at risk for danger to happen. So that felt like something that was impossible for me. So I thought, you know what? Just like how credit was able to move mountains in my life, my company, I want it to be something that can move mountains in other people's lives so that they can reach their goals, they can reach their dreams. Maybe they want to start some type of business that can actually bless people, actually make a difference. And if I can be used in that process to help them get to where they want to get to, just like how my friend helped me get to where I want to get to, then I would be really happy because the difference I noticed between the people I was trying to help at my job versus the people that I've been helping in business is that the people that are in business are motivated, just like how I was motivated to get free from my job. Now these business owners are people who want to become business owners. They had that strong motivation of, hey, even if this doesn't work out, I don't have any other choice. So I'm going to give it my all. And that's all I wanted. I just wanted to work with people who really wanted to make a difference in their life, people who will actually take the time to learn a skill, to learn something that they didn't know before and not make excuses. So once I started to recognize that this was the group of people I would be helping, I realized, wow, this is where I need to be. I need to be in this area, and I want to do it through credit. So in a nutshell, I know that was a long response, but
No, I love
that's
it. I love
I
it. I
do.
love it. It was a great response actually. And a lot of us don't unwind how it is we get where we are. And I think it's a really important, everybody has a story in their life. Everybody has a journey that they're on. And if you don't take the time to figure out why you're on the journey that you're on, you won't necessarily see the signposts along the way when you're on that journey, if that makes any sense. So look at you. That's really amazing. Do you deal with people who need to fix their credit in order to be able to purchase a home? Is that
Yes,
something that you do?
yes. So although we do help people that get business funding, we help people that just have regular mountains, regular problems. If they want to get if they just want to get their credit repaired because they want to buy a house, they want to buy a car, that's not a problem. But if they did want more, we can help them with that too. But if they don't want more, they don't have to worry about that. It's not a problem.
That's great. How many people work in your company with you?
So I had 33 about a month ago, but we've been scaling and growing. So right now we're at about 40 to 45.
That's great. And those are all employees? Are they entrepreneurs? How does it work?
So these are employees. They work for my company when it comes to the different processes that we have. Because like I said, since we have such a high influx of people, it's not like I can reach out to the people
Of
individually.
course.
So I have a support team that reaches out to them and sends them emails. And if they have any questions, they can talk to my support team. And then what I also have is a team of individuals that explain like how the process works and helps them get started. And then what I also have is the people on the back end who actually send out the letters and communicate with Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax on behalf of the clients. And in a nutshell, as we've been operating like this, it's been very efficient.
Yeah, no kidding. Look
Yes.
what you've done. Now, did you end up marrying the woman that you were in love with?
Yes, she is my. It did work out. Yeah, no, I kind of left that out, but yes,
So you
yes.
married her. Do you have any children?
No, we don't have any children. My goal is to keep building. I want to build something so that when they come, I can actually spend time with them. And then on top of that, once they do get older, this might sound kind of crazy that I'm looking this far, but once they get older, I want to be able to give them something because in my case, nobody was really able to give me anything except for I'd say a headache, but it's okay. I still love my parents and I know they did the best they could, but with what the information and resources that I have, I want to do my best to make it where there's generational wealth. I want my kids to pass stuff down to their kids and their kids to pass stuff down to their kids. And I want that to happen through my effort and my work and
This is
my
a beautiful
obedience.
story. This is a really beautiful story. I love your story. And not everybody who watches the show is going to be religious. So for them, that you found Jesus is a beautiful thing for you. But just to find out authentically what is important moving forward in the world, how you can make a difference, what you're doing is good out in the world for people's lives. And I think that's an absolutely beautiful thing. And more power to you, Daniel, because you seem like you're very young. How young are you, may I ask?
Yeah, of course. So right now I'm currently 23.
That is astonishing. This is a great story. I love this. I love this. Thank you so much for being on my show today. I love your story. I love what you do. People, if you need to get your credit repaired in any way and you want to just learn about credit or you want to learn about how to get credit to do a business, that you can contact Daniel. Daniel, where can they find you?
So they can find me on Instagram at Daniel McDavid1, or they can find me online. They could just look up Move Mountains Credit Repair, and then my website should pop up. And then if there's a number they want to reach out to. They can reach out to me at 949, what's it called? 208-7175. Yes.
Say that number again.
949-208-7175. Yes.
This was really wonderful. Thank you so much for being on my show today. I truly appreciate you and I love your path. I think it's so great. Thank you, Mr. Move Mountains.
Thank you for
All
having
right.
me.
If you loved hearing from these incredible voices shaping real estate, you'll want to catch what's next. Click the video on screen to keep discovering more inspiring stories.